Okay, thank you. So, morning everyone, I'm Derek Wilkinson. I'm Managing Director and a shareholder in a business called Sandfields Farms, which is part of what we call the G's Group. So I'm just going to quickly, this morning, run through the background to the Shropshire Group, a little bit of how Sandfields Farms started, and then obviously the main part you're interested in today is about us setting up a business in Senegal and how that's gone. Now, it's great this morning. Normally when I talk about Senegal at any sort of presentation, the first thing I have to do is explain where Senegal is in the world, so I'm guessing that's not the case today. So a little bit about the G's Group, privately owned business, established in 1952, and turnover for the current financial year of the whole group, this is a group of businesses that come together for collective marketing, is about 720 million. 9,500 employees worldwide, growing 13,000 hectares of salad and vegetables, and then a further 4,500 hectares of what we call arable crops, wheat, etc., which are grown more as a break crop in our veg rotations. There are 17 farmers and growers in the UK. We're producing a whole range of produce, and we're supplying them major retailers in the UK, EU, and a business in USA. So we describe ourselves as a vertically integrated business because we're doing everything from seeding to growing crops, farming, through to processing, adding value to salads and vegetables, and then specialist businesses doing sales and supply chain management and marketing. So worldwide, we're farming about 13,000 hectares, as I've mentioned. The UK is the largest growing operations with 9,500 hectares, 5,000 in Spain, 1,800 hectares in Czech, just over 700 in Senegal, and 500 hectares in Poland. So I won't dwell on it, but the UK growing base is fairly well spread across the country. I'm located in Warwickshire, Worcestershire, and Herefordshire. That's my part of the business. Whereas the G's headquarters, main base is in East Anglia. So Sandfields Farms business set up in 2007. We're farming about 1,500 hectares, so the business ownership is 80% G's, 20% myself. And our core crops are spring onions is very much our core crop, supplying year round, and then we do UK season on a whole range of legumes, peas and beans, all for the fresh market and all supplied to the major retailers. And asparagus, and we're employing about 750 seasonal staff and 150 permanent. So West Africa Farms, so this was a business we set up in 2011, and the drivers behind setting it up is, as I've already mentioned, we have a large part of our business is spring onions, which we supply year round to the retailers. And so in the summer, we were growing 90% plus ourselves on our own farms. And in the winter, we weren't growing anything ourselves anywhere in the world. This pre-2011, we'd got growers in Mexico and growers in Egypt. And always supplying the major UK retailers, they want to deal with the grower rather than an intermediary. So we felt we needed to have our own source for that crop. Similarly, for one of the other G's products, radish, was a similar picture with growing everything in the UK themselves, and then in the winter dealing with Morocco, Israel and Portugal, but nothing of their own. G's had already got a large farming business in Spain, producing a lot of the lettuce and celery that they grow. But Spain's climate and soil types don't really suit spring onions that well. And also we needed to be in a country with a lower labour cost to be able to, because our competitors are in Egypt, Mexico, etc., where they've obviously got much lower labour cost base. Now, Mexico at that time, Mexico's supply was all air freight, and even in 2011 we were talking about food miles, and obviously it's a lot more topical now. So we wanted to have a model that was not reliant on air freight for supply. Egypt was a blend of some sea freight, some air freight. So we knew we needed to be in Africa, and we knew we needed to be on the west side of the country. I knew a little bit about Senegal, having done, in about 2006, I'd done a study tour of Senegal, looking at agriculture and the opportunities there for investment. So I knew a little bit about the country. We could have, the easiest thing at that time, though, would have been for us to go and invest in Egypt, where it was much more developed. We could have invested with an existing supplier, but felt at the time we needed to have a point of difference because there's loads of growers growing spring onions in Egypt, and so therefore we went there. The only thing we'd be competing on is price, and that's never a recipe for making lots of money. So we looked at Morocco as also an obvious choice, but Morocco, I felt the ship had already sailed on Morocco. There was already a lot of Spanish farming businesses and other European farming businesses already gone there. There isn't an abundance of land. There are salinity issues and a shortage of water in Morocco. So hence we ended up in Senegal, and to date we've invested just over £15 million there, which is a lot for our small business, probably not a lot compared to some of the numbers I've been hearing this morning. So capital is Dakar, and we're right up in the north, and we're on the edge of Lake de Guiers, which is the source of our water. Bedford River, Senegal, a huge river, so there's absolutely plenty of water there. So the reason why we chose Senegal, there's lots of land there. I've already mentioned the lake, very sustainable source of water. Plenty of people to do the work. We are large, everything we do is labour intensive. In the peak of the winter, we're employing over 2,000 people in the business, 500 year round. Politically, it's stable, or has been, with very little corruption, which was key to us. We didn't want to end up in we operate in a very ethical way. We didn't want to end up in a country where we had to pay constant backhanders to get things done. And also the government at the time were very pro foreign investment. So as a foreign investor, we enjoy certain tax breaks. Those have slowly become eroded over the years, and certainly at the moment they're rapidly getting eroded as we've had a change of government in the last 2 years. And transport, good logistics back to the UK and Northern Europe. It's 7 days on a direct sea vessel, either into UK or into Holland, Netherlands. So just a little slide there of what we've built. So this is our packing area and workshops. We're on what we call pivot irrigation, circular irrigation. And a key part of a project, which jumping on to the next slide actually, is you see at the top here, this is community farmland. So our farm is 1 kilometre from the lake, Lake de Guiers. And around the edge of the lake is a lot of subsistence stroke semi-commercial farms, small family farms growing crops, generally on flood irrigation from the lake. We're 1 kilometre away from the lake, so we don't impact on that at all. And our whole model agreement with the government was that we're not allowed, well, we're only allowed to sell no more than 20% of our production into the domestic market. Because we don't want us to impact on local growers. But as part of the conditions of us having the land, we've developed land for the local community to farm. So that was in 2011, and it's now about 300 hectares of land that's been farmed by the local community. And this is a very recent block. You can see there's nothing growing on there yet that we've developed, which was in exchange for the land for these pivots here. So we signed at the beginning what we call a strategic agreement. And first of all, the government gave us an allocation of land, or basically gave us the green light to go and negotiate with the local communities on land. So, and then the next stage was to deal with the local communities, because most of the land, so none of the land is owned. So I should mention that point. We're not allowed to own land in Senegal. You can own the land where your buildings are, so we own the freehold where our yard is. but the rest of the land, it's all owned by the government, and you get rights to that land. And then we basically, through negotiations with community groups, etc., we pay some of its financial payments to the rural communities each year, but a lot of what we've done is agreements on investments. So first of all, developing the land, we've built medical centres, we built schools, and we continue to invest in those projects every year. We have a budget each year which is set aside for that. And we dug a large canal to feed the water for the land, which you saw to the right of our land on the first slide. So when we've eventually got all our permissions to start building land, it was a whole new experience for me, having developed businesses in Europe where you can go and find a builder, you can go and employ tractor drivers or whatever other stuff we need. Whereas there we'd got nothing. We were in a very poor part of the country where a lot of the people actually the young people end up leaving to go and find work elsewhere. So, initially finding builders, we literally had to, we were just finding contractors, small family businesses that built a few breeze block houses and things, and we actually employed them to build our pack house for us and other buildings. And we had to train tractor drivers up from the start. We had no electric on the farm. We have now got mains electric, so everything was being run off generators, and all the concrete blocks are all made on the farm. So it was a completely different experience for us, but it's been exciting. So we've had to import all machinery we've taken there, investment we've had to import predominantly from UK, Europe. The irrigators come from South America. So everything gets shipped in containers to there, and that really continues to today, actually. So a big part of what we've done is investing in the people. Now, I'd seen enough, I'm not being derogatory about any other business, but other European-owned businesses in Africa, and the first thing they do is flood the place with expats for the management. And it's a personal feeling, I don't feel they invest enough in developing the local people, because it's much easier to take the skill from Europe and put it out there. But we wanted to develop the local people and give them chance to progress the management ladder. Now, we haven't got 0 expats out there, but now here we are today turning over 12 million, and I've only got 3 expats in the business, and one of those is only part-time. So we've had lots of programs on leadership. We invest in the local schools, run leadership programs, and we've got some great success stories. Our pack house manager looking after 450 people. She was a lady that came from the local village. She started off harvesting spring onions in the field as a 20-year-old girl, and then she became a supervisor. She showed some natural leadership potential. We've invested in training for her, and now she's running our pack house and earning quite a high salary for Senegal. So we've got lots of stories like that. I haven't got enough time to go into them this morning. And as we've developed people, as well as sending people over there to deliver training, we've actually brought a lot of people to the UK and have had periods of time in our business here and done training courses with some of the agricultural universities in the UK. So that's been a big investment, but I think for the long term, it's the right thing. And it's the right thing financially. Up front, it's costing more, but long term, because actually employing expats to live there is quite expensive, reality. So actually making that investment in local people is better. We're very remote. We've had to invest quite a lot in medical care, and we do have our own ambulance on the farm. Fortunately, we've only needed it once in 10 years. So our cropping for this year is roughly 750 hectares. Spring onions obviously dominate, followed by green beans. Now, the green beans are not actually for the UK market. They're predominantly going into Holland. And we've got both conventional and organic land there. So we've converted land for organic production. We do quite a significant organic production there every year. And just some pictures of the crops. So green beans, spring onions, and they're green beans as well. No radish on there. So biodiversity, we've sometimes had the criticism leveled at us that we've oh my God, you've gone into savanna grassland and cleared it and destroyed habitat and for growing crops, and that couldn't be further from the truth actually, because where we are is massively overgrazed. We have a rainy season from July to September when it all greens up, and then it gets massively overgrazed. There is little or no, very little wildlife there. And as we brought water to the farm, that's helped the wildlife develop, and we've actually had involvement with the RSPB. There's actually a huge number of birds on the farm. Now the bird life is absolutely immense, and it's a really positive story. And we've had some quite high profile conservationists visit that certainly arrived with the impression that this was going to be like clearing the rainforest. What we've done would be like clearing the rainforest, and they've actually left very impressed. So, so there's a great story there. Thank you. Hopefully on time.